Hi, my name's Adam Shubruk, and I live in Toronto, Ontario. And I'm an actor, dancer, and singer. I've grown up performing since I was 5 years old, and I'm a huge advocate for the LGBTQ plus community. And it's really my passion to be able to spread a positive message out there and advocate for trans youth who don't have the opportunity to share their voice. I ended up growing up in a very small town in Timmins, Ontario, and I had a very interesting upbringing. From a very young age, I have always turned to the arts in order to express myself. I've always been a dancer, I've always loved singing, I've always loved acting. I've always been a huge lover of musical theater, and growing up being trans, this was always my outlet in order to express myself. And I find that with that experience, seeing how with a small town mentality, how certain people really don't understand and don't have the education, how harmful it can be for trans youth in general. So I always had people come up to me from a very young age telling me that this is not normal, this is just a phase, this is something that you're going to outgrow. And I have always felt that through the arts, it was always my way of showing people, well, this is who I am, that I'm authentically myself. I'm able to show everyone else, you're able to be yourself. If this is something that you want to do, if you want to pursue this, if you want to be somebody who shows people that we are all just human, and we're all the same, when it comes down to basic principles. All we want is to be accepted and loved. And I truly believe that the arts is an amazing way of portraying that. So growing up in Timmins, I've never had the opportunity to really pursue that on a large scale. However, I do feel that in the past 2 years, when I have moved to Toronto, I was able to start to see the shift on how people in Toronto they have a lot more education, they have a lot more knowledge, understanding, and they aren't as closed-minded as people in Timmins are. And that itself really gave me just that motivation and that drive to want to educate people in general and want to change the conversation and be able to show people that, especially people who live in small towns, that you can't just go around and just live your life based off of the stigmas that have been spread around for so many years. We are at a point right now where everything is moving forward. There is so much education out there that needs to be shared with not only with trans youth in general, but just for anybody out there who wants to be an ally and anybody who wants to share their voice. And I truly feel that through growing up in Timmins, that is my voice that I want to share and put out there. That is my approach to showing people that even though you're from a small town, even though you may have not had so many opportunities, if you love what you do, if you believe in yourself and you believe that you want to make the world a better place, then you can do it. And I truly feel that that gave me the drive to move forward, to want to be an advocate and to just be an ally for the community in general. An ally is anybody who has for starters, they want to be that person that anybody who is trans feels safe with. Because for starters, allyship starts with being just understanding, the willingness to be educated, and the willingness to want to stand up for what is not right. And I truly believe that anyone who wants to be an ally, that is the first step, is feeling like you have a voice, because anybody can be an ally, whether it is even just in the industry, in the acting industry. Anybody who's working on sets, whether it's any of my, because I've had amazing co-stars who they aren't trans, however, they've come up to me and they have asked questions such as, I really want to know what can I do in order to be a valuable ally. And it all starts with education. If you educate yourself, if you create opportunities in order for trans people to have their voice heard, that is an amazing start right there. But it all comes down to just wanting to learn and wanting to help move for a solution, to help push for a better tomorrow. Because yes, we're moving at an amazing rate right now when it comes to showing awareness and creating a solution for all of these terrible stigmas we've experienced in the past, all of these unfortunate just events that have occurred over the years, where unfortunately as a community, we are still overcoming these obstacles. But the more allyship we have, we're able to push past that and move forward for a solution. So from a very young age, I have always known that I was male. I have shown in several ways to my parents. I have expressed it verbally. I've even spoken to my father and my mother several times growing up about how I was not born with the right anatomy. And it was always the same answer, that we're going to take you to the doctor, you need to go see a psychologist. There was never any conversation that was geared towards, we're going to do whatever we need to do to make you feel comfortable and make you believe that this is who you are and that we're not going to shame you for it. So I've always grown up feeling shamed and belittled for who I was. And that's something that a lot of trans youth in Timmins actually share that experience, because I've spoken with a lot of my friends who have went through transitions, and they have all told me that they have had, unfortunately, very similar experiences where their parents have not accepted them. They had nowhere to go, where they were just able to feel like themselves, where they were able to feel safe, and that they were able to meet and connect with people who have lived similar circumstances. And that was my reality growing up in Timmins. And I started from, I would say, I was 12 years old when I started explaining to my father. I said, I can't live in this body anymore. And he kept telling me that you're a tomboy. You are not, you're a freak. And that is the one thing that I could never, ever get over. And I don't want anybody to ever have to go through that. I think that the power of having an amazing support system is so important, because if you don't have an amazing support system to back you up, to help you move forward in life, it really does affect you in so many ways. If you don't have that backbone in order to help you realize that it's okay, you're not you may feel like you're different, but you're not different. Everybody is special in their own way. And one thing that I've learned throughout my journey is that me being trans, that's just another part of who I am. It's like saying, hi, I'm Adam and I'm a dancer. It just so happens that it's one thing that I should be wearing as a badge of honor, and I shouldn't be ashamed of it. And a lot of people who grow up in small towns are taught that they should feel ashamed of themselves. So ever since I've moved to Toronto, there has been a huge shift in how I accept myself, on how I'm able to put myself out there and show who I am. When I first came out, there was a lot of people who I associated with back in my hometown, where they started saying, Adam, if you're going to appear masculine, you need to do this, 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 and this. And I started to believe as if, okay, I'm not a man if I don't do these things. And it completely showed how society has their view of this is what women should do and this is what men should do, and how everybody, the fact that people have that stigma, it just shows that this is where we need to start that conversation, is educating people on why those ideals in general are just not, they're not accurate at all. If anybody has seen any sort of, even media coverage or just TV shows, movies, everything moving forward in the past few years, this is not where we're at anymore. And the fact that a lot of people in small towns still do have that way of thinking, it just makes me want to educate people even more, the more that I hear about it. There is absolutely a few challenges I can think of off the top of my head when it comes to my transition. I remember how hard it was for me to get on hormones at the beginning of my transition. That's something that it's unfortunately not talked about a lot, is the process of getting on hormones. And I was speaking with my family physician for an entire year before getting prescribed testosterone. And not only that, my very first year being on hormones, it was very discouraging because I was constantly getting misgendered, which was a huge hit to the gut. I remember feeling just hopeless. And I was thinking to myself, am I ever going to appear masculine? And that's a huge negative thought that goes through many trans people's brains. And I was guilty of it because I remember feeling as if it's the waiting game with hormones. And nobody should have to play that game of the waiting game. But unfortunately, it is the reality of transitioning, is that a lot of people see what happens on social media. A lot of trans people are a lot of times with social media, it happens where people compare themselves to other people. This happens on a day-to-day basis, but it also happens with a lot of trans influencers. This is something that has happened to me in the past, where, and still to this present day, I would say I'm guilty of it as well. What happens is that there's a lot of people who post comparison pictures on their Instagram stories. And at the very beginning of my transition, year one of being on testosterone, I would look at all of those pictures. And I remember thinking to myself, am I ever going to look like that? And that is a very dangerous way of thinking. And it is very dangerous for your mental health. And there is a lot of times where I would look at those pictures and I would judge myself. And it's very dangerous when you start to do that, because then you start to set unrealistic expectations for yourself. And everybody has their own journey. Everybody is special. Everybody has their own path that they are going on. But if you judge yourself, it goes back to the saying, be yourself because everyone else is taken. And you can't go around expecting to have the same experience as the person next to you, because that's going to just completely destroy you with your mental health. And I don't want to see that happening if I can have any say about that. I want to be that voice for other people to say, everybody is going to have these thoughts. It is just natural. Where as humans, we do compare ourselves sometimes. And although it's dangerous, it's something you have to address. But also to the point where it's okay to feel like things aren't happening right away. Because you just need to know that your body is going to change at its own pace, and to just feel comfortable with yourself and to just take some deep breaths and to just feel like, if we have this discussion, everyone's going to know that we all experience this and that we all feel a sense of togetherness.
You had a Y chromosome, don't you?
York, nice to meet you.
So I had the amazing opportunity this past year to actually star on a hit TV show called Y: The Last Man. And the character that I portrayed, his name is Ian. And the character that I portrayed, he is trans as well. And being on this show really did educate me a lot of just how, in general, how society views trans individuals in general. And to be honest, it really showed how much we need to push for a solution, because regardless of how far we've come, on certain acting sets, there is a lot of work that needs to be done with just advocating for trans actors, because there is this depiction of what a trans person has to look like that the media is portraying right now. And one thing that I've actually had the honor of discussing with a few of my co-stars on Y: The Last Man is how we've all shared similar experiences growing up, especially as trans actors, on how everybody wanted us to look a certain way for just auditions, for how we portray ourselves in our everyday lives. And one thing that really needs to be put across, just in general, is how everybody is different. We all share maybe similar circumstances. We all share we all share similar experiences. But just because we are all trans actors, just because we are all trans and have that experience, it does not mean that we all look the same. And it was actually amazing to be able to see how incredible the writing was on this television show, because just the way that they wrote out the scripts, it was very accurate. The way that they were explaining how, for example, they were speaking about testosterone, and they were speaking about how important hormones are and how you can't just skip certain doses, and how important the entire, just in general, how important a transition is. And a lot of people just assume what they've heard, the stigmas that they were told growing up. And I really think that Y: The Last Man is an amazing educational resource that I really hope that a lot of people are able to watch. They're able to learn from it. And if you watch any of these 10 episodes of the first season of Y: The Last Man, which is airing on Hulu, they all have a very different message, but also a very important message. And the entire show itself shines a very important light on why we need to have more representation for trans people in general. Because the writing in the show explains how right now society views trans people in a very negative light sometimes. The show explains how we can fix this, how we can have a solution moving forward. I can definitely recall so many moments in my transition that make me smile whenever I think about them. I remember in June of 2020, I ended up getting my top surgery. And that was such an emotional moment for me because I just remember the night before going into top surgery, and it just hit me, and it just made me realize how fortunate I was that after everything that I've overcome, that I have gotten to this point where I'm able to authentically be myself. And I have known that I have been a man my entire life. It is one thing that it's in you, you just know. And top surgery was just one of those things that just affirmed it even more. But I just was speaking of highs in my transition, that was a huge one because I remember taking video footage of when I went in to get the reveal done. And you can tell when you see the look on my face, how happy I was. I was looking in the mirror, exclaiming, "Oh my goodness, I am flat." And I think there's nothing better than seeing the joy on somebody's face when they look in the mirror and they see themselves for the first time. You know your entire life that this is who you are, but when you look in the mirror after you get top surgery done and you're able to just have that moment of realization on how everything has just come together, I think that that's what makes it worth it. And that's something that makes me super passionate about wanting to make trans youth all around me in general. I want everybody to be able to experience that. There's no better feeling than just authentically being able to live as your true self. And now I just feel as I'm progressing in my transition, I'm going on being 5 years on testosterone this December, and I am extremely proud of myself. Every milestone that I overcome, every single barrier that I hop over, I feel just like everything that I thought maybe wouldn't be possible before, I'm showing myself that it is possible. And I think that that's the big message that I want to share with everybody, is that regardless if somebody tells you that it's not possible, you can't do this, you believe in yourself and you know in your heart that this is what you want to do and something that you can accomplish, you know yourself best, and you are the one person that can push yourself to be able to accomplish whatever it is that you want to do. In 10 years, I see myself coaching acting to children as well as adults, as well as I see myself choreographing dance routines. I've always had a huge passion for dance and for choreography. I also see myself starring in TV shows, in movies. One dream that I have is to be on Broadway one day. And I think back to when I first started on Hormones. And one thing that I was very self-conscious about was thinking, will my voice drop in the appropriate tone in order to hit the notes that are necessary? And I have to admit that that was something that was very discouraging for me. I'm so proud to be able to vocally be at the point where I know that I can accomplish these goals now. It all comes down to how much work you put in. And I have this massive drive to push myself forward because I realize after when you feel like you cannot move forward in your life because of feeling like you're different. Once you get over that, you truly feel like you can accomplish anything. I know that after I have accomplished what I have, moving forward, I'm extremely excited for the future, and I know it only holds great and amazing things. One thing I would love to say too, if anybody has somebody in their life who is coming out as trans, don't make them feel like it is a problem, because they have gone through extensive self-work and realization to have to get to the point where they are at. And you need to be celebrating this, and you need to be that person to help them move forward, because it has taken a lot for them to even approach you in the beginning. And the fact that they trust you with that information, it is not easy to come out. And I can speak firsthand on that because it has taken me a long time to feel comfortable with who I am. And the amazing support system that I have today, I just can speak firsthand saying that it has changed my life leaps and bounds. And I would not be here where I am today without all of my friends and just everybody around me who has pushed me to just believe that I can just authentically be myself. And I think that that's the message that everybody should just be completely comfortable sharing.